Have you ever felt exhausted from work? Felt like you were dragging yourself to work, or that you didn't want to continue working? That you have no enjoyment from work? Well, it sounds like you may be suffering from burnout. Let's jump on into it. Hi, my name is Cam. Hope you have a beautiful day and welcome back to OT and Me. So today I want to talk about a common occurrence in many individuals' lives, and that is burnout. So what is burnout? You may have heard from your favorite YouTuber, hopefully that's me, talk about it, or maybe it's been used in casual conversation. Truth is, it could affect anyone, from workers to students to caregivers, you name it. Anybody can experience burnout. So what exactly is burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, and often physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress. The key word for burnout is exhaustion. It's that physical and mental exhaustion that just is caused by stress, and it's not fun. It's not fun. Oftentimes, burnout gets confused with depression. However, depression is a diagnosable condition, whereas burnout is not diagnosable. You can see forms of burnout through different cultures in a sense. Like in Japan specifically, Japan is known for their high workloads, their high productivity rate. There's a term called karoshi, which literally translates to overwork death, which is death caused by overworking. Death caused by burnout, essentially, right? From prolonged stress. So it's important both to have ways to identify burnout, but also some tips and tricks to help kind of manage and reduce burnout. To start, what causes burnout? Burnout is caused by a multitude of factors, from increased workload to lack of social support to increased time demands. It's caused by an increase of stress caused by a job. For instance, caregivers. It is common in the field of occupational therapy to deal with caregivers that have had caregiver burnout. Providing care to a family member day in and day out without having any time for yourself, essentially, or feeling like you have no time for yourself, can cause and bring about these feelings of burnout. Other causes of burnout are a dysfunctional workplace, work-life imbalance, unrealistic time demands, and lack of control over work. Again, in the instance of the caregiver, they may feel like they have a lack of control of their situation. They may feel like their social and work-life balance are totally off-skewed. So it's important as an occupational therapist to provide supports. Yeah, so how do you identify burnout? There are a number of various symptoms that you can use to identify burnout. One being extreme emotional exhaustion. This is a feeling of emotional depletion, of feeling that you just don't have that energy to complete a task. Reduced satisfaction from one's work. Do you feel like you're not getting the same enjoyment from work as you once were? Reduced performance. Are you lacking at work now? Are you not meeting up with your demands at work? Are you falling behind at work? There's also the prevalence of feeling down. Do you feel a sort of emptiness as it relates to both work and yourself? Another one is diminished self-esteem. Do you not think as highly of yourself? Are you not placing yourself on a higher pedestal? Do you feel like you are valuing yourself less? There is also cynicism towards work. So are you starting to resent work a little bit more? Is there a lack of motivation? Are you not feeling like going into work as much anymore? Are you feeling like, I don't want to do this as much anymore? There's also a lack of productivity, so kind of similar to reduced performance. You're not being able to produce as much as you were before. You're not being able to keep up with those demands. And finally, there's even sometimes a social withdrawal, where the person experiencing burnout starts to socially distance themselves. I'm not talking about that social distancing, but where they start to socially distance themselves from others, where they're starting to not go out with friends as much or with family as much, and they started to withdraw from others. So those are some ways to identify burnout, but how do we manage burnout? One of the biggest aspects of managing burnout is self-care. So taking time for yourself, can't emphasize that enough. Being able to have time for yourself and to be with yourself, to care for yourself, it's so important for burnout. Making sure you're having time outside of work to go and socialize, outside of work to practice those 8 dimensions of wellness. It's immensely important to have time for yourself in order to reduce that burden of burnout. In line with that is also participation in occupation. So doing those things that you enjoy, whether it's surfing, whether it's gardening, whether it's going out and playing football, whether it's, again, hanging out with family. Whatever occupations it is that you enjoy, whatever those meaningful activities are to you, going out and doing those works wonders for burnout. Also, practicing healthy sleeping habits, right? So practicing good sleep hygiene, which I will have a video on that later. One day. Yeah, practicing good sleep hygiene, making sure we're going to bed on time, making sure that we have an optimal sleeping environment, going out and seeking social support, right? So talking with family and friends, it helps immensely to go out and talk about these things in order to kind of relieve yourself of those stresses. And then finally, of course, you got exercise. Woo! Exercise is great for dealing with burnout, for relieving that stress. In fact, exercise is a form of stress itself, but it's eustress, which is a good form of stress, right? It's a good form of stress on the body, kind of counteracting that bad stress, okay? So yeah, you want to do some of these things. So getting good sleep, exercising, getting that social support, doing those occupations that you love, those meaningful activities that you love, taking care of yourself, making sure that we're following those 8 dimensions of wellness and that we're covering all aspects of wellness. So how does this relate to occupational therapy? As I mentioned before, caregiver burnout is a big part of what caregivers may deal with when working with family members that require nearly 24-hour care, right? So also student burnout, right? So this could be the students we work with, there could be an actual occupational therapy student, right? School can be tough. There's also, of course, even OT practitioners, right? Ourselves. Emotional exhaustion could happen so rapidly sometimes in the occupational therapy field because we're giving a part of ourselves to our patients. We are being there, we're being compassionate, we're being there for our patients, and it can be emotionally exhausting, leading to some form of burnout, right? So as much as we want to give time to our patients, we need to be able to take time for ourselves as well too. It's not selfish to work on yourself before you work on others. In fact, it is highly recommended in the field of occupational therapy. By being your best self, by being your most optimal self, by being your most relaxed, and by caring for yourself first, you're able to provide better care for your patient. So this is your daily reminder to just take some time for yourself. Hope you continue to have a beautiful day. Wishing you wellness through occupation, and take care, y'all.